The theme of this particular episode is called Finding My Theme in My Memoir Writing. I owe whatever I'm sharing with you to Brenda Smit-James, powerful teacher. She's an editor, and you can get her on YouTube when she talks about theme, finding your theme. And it all centers on one thing. What do you want to write in my book? What message do I have? What am I trying to express that will help you as the reader? It's more important for you than for me. All right? I'm not writing to give me my self-therapy. No. In a way, it does help, yes, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to try and help you answer the question which I have asked myself. Why do we choose otherwise? When we know that this is the path to go, we choose otherwise. It's part of a universal character of humanity, isn't it? When we know that that's not right, we will do it. Okay? And so the two important points that I'm beginning to understand, and I've written it down, is that you cannot change what you do not know. And secondly, you cannot recover until you know what you're recovering from. And that's a diagnosis that a doctor makes, isn't it? How can you put a patient onto the road of recovery if you have not made a diagnosis? And so my central theme that I want to put right through is about scarring. I'm a plastic surgeon. All my life, I've been trained to deal with scars. And so a scar doesn't just simply happen. There's a causative injury. Every injury heals with scarring. And the amount of damage that is done, the thicker the scarring, the more intense the reaction of the cells called the fibroblasts that lay down the fibrous tissue and turn the collagen and all the connective tissue into fibrous tissue, and it becomes scarring. And what happens, for example, in plastic surgery, if there's a burn, and that burn is allowed to scar, and no proper treatment in the initial stages, then what happens is that it develops what's called a contracture. And so when you talk about emotional scarring, when there's injury which is so deep within, layer after layer after layer, it ends up with forming hypertrophic scarring. And sometimes that hypertrophic scarring results in contractures. I call them emotional contractures. And that causes a dysfunction in whichever organ it involves. For example, if somebody has a heart attack and some area of the heart muscle becomes infarcted, there's no blood supply, it heals by scarring. And that's exactly what happens in the human life, in our journey. The amount of emotional injuries from childhood, what happens? We remember it, yeah, we can try and recall it, but the damage heals with scarring. That's why they don't disappear. When patients come to see me for treatment for scars, we can only make them lighter or fade it away by outside all sorts of treatment, but they are still scars. All right. Same with the emotional injury. So the emotional contractures that occur are the ones that stifle, they ensnare the person, that you become a prisoner within the scarring and you cannot react and you become dysfunctional. And that's the theme. How do I deal with this contracture, which is emotionally induced, to be able to function well, to be able to breathe, to be able to live, to be able to interact with others? And that's the key in this book. And there's only one person. Now we talk about, in the scriptures, they talk about spiritual circumcision of the heart. You see, the heart is deceitful beyond cure. We are born in our transgressions, all right? So it's already, impossible to heal something that is already without cure, all right? And that's why you need the work of the Holy Spirit to do what's called spiritual circumcision of the heart, that allows transformation and renovation of the heart and the functioning of the heart to give it new life. Same with when it comes to injury. Emotional release of these contractures is the only way to set the human being free, and that requires spiritual intervention. And that's what the book is all about, that there is a God. And this God exists in the person of Jesus of Nazareth. And that's the man I want you to meet when you read the book. And so that's my theme. And my sub-themes, of course, will be, of course, relationships and, the hunger for love, the hunger for being wanted, the hunger for being recognized. All these are what I call sub-themes, right? But the main theme is emotional contractures as a result of injury, growing up, and how those emotional contractures can stifle the functioning of you as a parent, as a father, in whatever field of life. And that can have dire consequences where people just give up. And that's the reason why suicide rates are so high, because of emotional contractures as a count of injury. And I think that's something that it will help you, and I know it's helping me. So thank you, Brenda. I'm doing a podcast with Brenda at the end of this month, July. So stay tuned, and it'll be a blessing. Bye for now.